When the girls left, Alex sighed and looked at Chesmere. I'm not sure our first conversation qualifies as very successful. We need to talk to Aura so she can start questioning her a bit, Chesmere muttered. Who knows, maybe the girl was raised in some military school and has been thoroughly brainwashed. Let's just hope she doesn't murder us in our sleep, he added, probably joking. Alex chuckled briefly. For now, the poor thing probably doesn't even realize she's fallen into the clutches of the Federation. But you're right. We definitely need to find out more about her. In the evening, they pressed Aura. She agreed that they should better understand Asia's past, but firmly denied that the girl had any military inclinations. I've spent a lot of time with her, she said. I would definitely have noticed. I am absolutely convinced you don't need to lock your doors at night. The next day, Aura went to Asia with a plan. She honestly didn't know how to approach it. She wondered whether to ask directly, but she had to admit she wasn't sure of the girl's reaction. She felt a little like a fraud, but decided to try a slightly roundabout way. She rummaged through her odds and ends and dug out an old, long-unused bracelet. She used to wear it when she was younger, but now felt it was no longer appropriate for her age. But she thought it should impress a teenage girl, and so it happened. When Aura entered, Asia's eyes immediately fell on the bracelet. Aura asked standard questions, how she felt, what she would like to do today, if she had any questions, and so on. They were now talking like old friends. What a pretty bracelet, Asia immediately noticed. Would you like to take a closer look? Aura asked, taking off the bracelet and handing it to the girl. Oh, yes, Asia brightened. And may I see yours? Aura asked. Asia hesitantly but surely took off her bracelet and handed it to Aura. It's wonderful that she trusted me with such a treasure, Aura thought. She held the bracelet in her outstretched hands, keeping it always within the girl's reach. It's very pretty. How did you manage to get one like this? She asked. She saw the change in the girl's face. My mother gave it to me the last time I saw her, the girl said, her voice cracking. Something important is about to happen. It flashed through Aura's mind. I need to be especially careful. Oh, really? She exclaimed with partly feigned enthusiasm. And where is your mother now? Maybe we should let her know you are with us? Asia was silent for a moment. My mother is dead, she replied quietly, and tears rolled down her cheeks like peas. Oh my God, what happened? Aura blurted out. But it looked like Asia wanted to finally tell someone about it anyway. My mother worked for some corporation. She began, sobbing softly. Before, when I was at the boarding school, she used to visit me from time to time. Then, when they moved us here to help with the settlement, she couldn't anymore. A year ago, the ship she was traveling on was destroyed, and everyone died. That's what they told me. Oh, that's terrible, Aura whispered, feeling tears welling up in her own eyes. And perhaps we could look for your father? She asked, not entirely sure if it was a good idea. I never met my father. Maybe he worked for that corporation too? Maybe he is also dead? The girl replied uncertainly. And how did you end up in the desert? Aura asked. Some time ago, I became terribly sick. I couldn't eat anything. They gave me some medicine, and my stomach started to hurt very badly. Ward attendant Bartara, who was looking after me, prepared some kind of liquid for me to drink. After that, I don't remember much. Some people were moving around, but I don't know if it was real or if I was dreaming. I woke up on the sand because I felt terribly nauseous. I threw up and felt better. 2 other bodies were lying next to me. I thought they must have assumed I was dead at the camp and thrown me out. It was terribly hot, so I looked for shade, but I was very thirsty. Luckily, it rained. I sat there for a while. I was very hungry, so I went looking for something to eat, but I couldn't find anything. I was terribly exhausted, and I think I fell asleep. I remember someone in a suit and some strange things, such a wonderful warm bath, but I think I was dreaming. Then I woke up here with you. Aura hugged Asia, not really knowing what she could do. She didn't have much experience with such situations. For now, they sat embracing, both quietly sobbing. Aura, please don't tell the captain that I cried. He'll think I'm weak. You are very strong. Crying makes you stronger, not weaker, Aura comforted her. Besides, I've seen the captain cry many times, she added, lying for the greater good. Aura, you are the kindest person I have ever met, Asia suddenly said. Aura barely held back a sob and just hugged the girl tighter. They sat like that for a while. Finally, she gently pulled back and smiled through her tears to somehow ease the tension. Asia reached out to return the bracelet. Maybe you'd like to keep it? Aura suggested quickly, hoping it would cheer her up a little. Could I? Asia asked, and she seemed to genuinely brighten up a little. You know what? Maybe you'd like to see my other trinkets and jewellery? I hardly use them anyway, and if you like anything, you can take it, she proposed. Nothing better came to her mind. Oh, I would love that, Asia beamed. Aura ran to her room and brought back a rather sizable jewellery box. It's all a bit tangled up, but let's look through it. Maybe you'll find something you like. In the evening, Aura gave the guys a report on her conversation with Asia. I feel a bit foolish about my suspicions, Shesmir admitted. But either way, what do you think our next step should be? I think we should talk to Selezak after all, Alex suggested. After a brief, rather fruitless discussion, since no one had a better idea, they agreed to do so. It would at least be the first step to legalize Asia's status. The task fell to Alex, who knew Selezak best. As an independent operator, he tried to maintain good relations with local authorities, and Selezak was one of them. As far as he could judge, he was the most competent military officer he had ever met. In just a few months after his arrival, Selezak had transformed the chaotic region where they operated into a relatively safe zone. Alex suspected that the forces would move him elsewhere sooner or later. He even planned to find out where so he could move his operations there as well. They weren't particularly close friends. Alex felt that Selezak lacked a sense of humor and was far too stiff. He had many more opportunities for a slight abuse of alcohol with the second-in-command officer, Capitan Montello, known as Kowalski. It was from him that he knew Major Selezak was a somewhat legendary figure in the forces. One of only a handful of Earth soldiers on whose head Drave had once placed a bounty. That bounty might well still be active, though, as Montello claimed, it wouldn't be easy money. Especially since, as he explained, this was no metaphor. To collect the reward, one had to deliver Selezak's head in the literal sense. Drave didn't mess around with half measures. Be that as it may, Alex rated his relationship with the Major as very good. He had helped him several times, such as loaning the den for transporting larger cargoes. Both were concrete people, focused on problem solving, so they got along well. He contacted the forces and asked to be connected with Selezak. The Major responded almost immediately. Zeno, I'm calling about a rather unusual matter, Alex began in his usual style. Selezak, true to his style, didn't reply. A question hadn't been asked yet. So Alex continued, presenting Asia's story. We need to check her out, Selezak replied curtly. For now, it looks like her version is confirmed. About 2 weeks ago, a patrol found 2 bodies in the desert. We couldn't establish their identity. We even contacted the Drave outpost about it, but they replied that they knew nothing. The tests we need to perform are nothing major. Besides a physiological scan, there will only be a few psychological tests, nothing invasive. That's very good because, you see, Aura has taken on a mother's role and is wholeheartedly invested in this relationship. I suspect that if someone tried to take the girl away from her, it would probably only be over her dead body. Alex explained. Well, Aura can be present for the whole process, but she cannot interfere. If the girl turns out to be some kind of Manchurian candidate, there will be no other choice. We'll have to detain her even over Aura's dead body. Selezak quipped, then added, You have to decide for yourselves what to do next with this. Either way, you can't hide her indefinitely, especially if you want to legalize this somehow. The outpost, due to its frontier status, can even issue you some temporary papers. Additionally, if it's confirmed that the girl comes from one of the planets occupied by Drave, there shouldn't be a problem with granting her refugee status. As usual, Selezak's position seemed to make the most sense, so Alex decided to schedule the visit. They were given an appointment in a few days. That same day, he informed the rest of the crew about the arrangements. No one had any objections. Aura was particularly pleased. She was glad that she could be present for the whole process. She had no concerns. She was certain Asia was no Manchurian candidate. For now, she decided to involve Asia in the life of the ship. She taught her how to use the media and entertainment center and the information terminal. She still suspected that the girl did not realize she was on a Federation ship. Using the terminal might make her aware of this, and Aura wasn't sure how that would turn out. However, she decided it was worth the risk. She knew that sooner or later the truth would come out anyway. She also discovered that Asia was convinced she was not allowed to leave the room without permission, so she quickly clarified that as well. Wherever there is an open door, you can go in, except for rooms marked with a red circle and a black cross. Those are deadly dangerous. So I can, for example, go to the bridge? Asia asked in disbelief. Absolutely, but better not press too many buttons, Aura laughed. I really like it here with you. On my previous ship, everything was forbidden. I thought it was like that everywhere, she stated. Aura showed her again where the supplies of food and other daily items were, and how to replenish them when they ran out in her room. Emboldened, Asia ventured to the bridge, where Shesmere was busy at the terminals, as usual. Welcome, he called out, perhaps a little too friendly, still feeling guilty about his earlier suspicions. I didn't want to interrupt, the girl said. I just wanted to look around a bit. No worries, you're not interrupting. Maybe you'd like to help? Oh, yes. How? I need to calibrate the atmospheric engine controller. I'll move the lever, and you watch this monitor. If the bar starts turning red, let me know. Okay. Shesmere began manipulating the settings. Nothing happened at first, but after a moment, an excited Asia called out, It's turning red! It's turning red! Shesmere flipped a switch, and the bar quickly returned to green. They repeated this several times until he finally stated, Done. After a short pause, he added, Maybe you'd like to learn something about navigation controls? Oh, yes. On my previous ship, we weren't allowed to go to the bridge, but once I saw it from the corridor, it looked completely different from this one. Every ship is a little different. Look, this is the main panel. If you stay with us, you'll have to learn how to pilot the den. It's not that hard. The autopilot handles most of the details. I'll be able to pilot this ship? Asia asked with disbelief and excitement. But only the captain can pilot, she added. Well, what if something happens to the captain? Both Aura and I can pilot the den. You should learn it too. Does security know about this? She asked suspiciously. Probably. They seem to know everything, Shesmere replied, sensing he was stepping onto dangerous ground. Right. And they haven't arrested you? No, he replied curtly, wondering how to extricate himself from the situation. Ha! Maybe it works differently on ships like this, Asia concluded. And what does that big red button do? She asked, fortunately losing interest in the Drave security topic. I'm not sure, but I don't press it just in case, he explained. In reality, the red button was installed by him and Alex as a test. They wanted to see if Asia would ever decide to discover its secret. Alex believed it would be a breakthrough moment, a sign that the girl was starting to think and act independently. Aura was privy to the plan, but had less enthusiasm for the idea. She stated that the concept of pressing buttons without knowing what they do was more or less how Alex blundered through life, and she wasn't at all sure if it was a good way. She also warned that if Asia asked directly, she would not lie. For now, however, the topic of the red button was left alone. Shesmere explained the general principles of navigation and the basic functions of the panel, leaving the details for later. It was a lot to take in already, and Asia was absorbing the knowledge with visible enthusiasm. After a moment, Aura entered the bridge. Time for dinner, she called out. Maybe we should all eat together in the mess hall today, she suggested. They sat down at the table, only Alex was missing. He rushed in a moment later, covered in grease and sand. He went straight to the coffee machine, poured himself a mug of cold coffee and downed it in one gulp. Are you sure your heart can handle that? Aura asked ironically. My heart, yes. I'm more worried about my digestive system, he replied without missing a beat. He approached the table, assessing the dishes with clear interest. You're not planning on sitting at the table in that state, are you? Aura didn't let up. Extraordinary circumstances require extraordinary solutions, he replied with amusement and snatched one of the sandwiches Marvin had prepared. Then, with a full mouth, he added, I found 2 engines, exactly what Draco asked for. They look to be in very good condition. Maybe they just need a slight tuning. He was in a big hurry, so we need to let him know to come pick them up. It will probably take him about a week anyway. It seems he's on Proxa right now, so we'll have time to get everything ready. Is Zack coming with him? Aura asked after a moment of silence. Probably, Alex replied. He didn't initially catch why she was asking, but after a second, he understood. Draco was their longtime business partner and friend. They had completed hundreds of transactions together and knew each other well. Zack, on the other hand, was his son, about 17, maybe a little older. Alex liked the boy. He was quite open, reasonably intelligent, and, Alex thought, had a similar sense of humor to his own. Now, however, it dawned on him that Aura was asking in the context of Asia. This could be an interesting experience, he thought. He wondered if he shouldn't arrange the meeting as a complete surprise for both of them. It seemed like a great idea to him. He just needed to convince Aura.